If you could tell us who you are and what you are doing.
Okay, so my name is Xerxes Mazda, and I'm Head of Learning and Audiences at the British Museum.
Xerxes, when did you hear gamelan for the first time?
When I started playing in 1987, in probably October 1987, at Cambridge University. I'd been at Cambridge as an undergraduate, and when I finished my undergraduate, I chose to do a PhD, stay on and do a PhD. All my friends left at that point, and so I felt I needed to get new friends. So I did the standard university thing, which was to go to what was known as a societies fair, and we had, and at societies fair, that many different societies have stalls, and I joined maybe 10 or 15 different societies, which was again a very standard thing to do when you're a student. And I went to gamelan as one of those, or to the gamelan group as one of those societies. And I remember, I can actually remember sitting in the room where the gamelan was, which was in the university music school. It was in kind of a foyer in the university music school because it was quite a big set. And watching and listening to them play. And I couldn't work out what was going on. I didn't particularly like the music, but bit by bit I got to like the people. So I went back, I gave it several weeks. I gave all the different things I joined several weeks. I went back, and in the end I made some very good friends there. But I'd never really heard, I didn't really hear gamelan then. What I heard was a small group from Cambridge playing gamelan, but there was no soft instruments, so it sounds very different to what I would imagine. It was Javanese gamelan, what I'd imagine, or what I know gamelan sounds like now. Maybe after the first term, I started borrowing tapes from the gamelan group, and actually I hated the music much more when I listened to the tapes, because I hated the suling, the flute, I hated the singing, the screechy women singing away. I hated the rabab, the two-stringed instrument. I just didn't understand the music. And then maybe after a year, something changed. I don't know what it was, and I fell in love with the music, and I was hooked. And I've never really looked back since, and I don't know what it was that made me love it so much.
Can't find out.
No.
Could you tell us about the group that you joined in, and who were they, how many people were there, and who were teaching?
Well, the teacher was Jenny Heaton, who had just come back from Java, I think, at that time. And she kept coming up from, I think she was based in London then, and she came up from London every Friday or Thursday. I can't remember which evening it was. But I joined the beginners group, and I think Jenny taught the beginners, and then there was the grown-ups group, and I wasn't part of the grown-ups group so till about the second year, or maybe halfway through the first year. And the group was, so with the beginners group, can I actually remember who was there? The two people I do remember were Bill and Sandra Martin, who were the absolute powerhouse of that group. They organised it, they loved running it. They started this magazine called Pelog, which, and I think it was in the second or third year when I joined, and which was kind of a magazine for players, ethnomusicologists and lovers of gamelan, was kind of the strapline, which actually spelt Pelog. And they are people. They're both still around, very active, and they are the kind of people who organise groups and who organise things and get things really going and put an inordinate amount of energy into them. And in fact, Pelog then became Sele Notes, and for many years Sheila used to run it, and I think it's now gone online. So Bill and Sandra were definitely part of it. Andrew Fitton, I think, Andrew Fitt, and then Peter, I think his name was Peter, a very tall chap as well. They were part of the adult group if you like, or the longer players group. I'd say it was about half students, half regulars from the town. A lot of them students who'd stayed on. It was a lovely group. I thoroughly enjoyed playing with it. I thoroughly enjoyed, I'd say I made some very, very strong friendships there, most of whom I've lost touch with now. People like Peter Lillington and Nikhil started in that group, or certainly were very closely associated with it. And I first met people like John Pawson as well, because he would come up and join us for performances. And so I started to meet a few of the London-based, the Southbank based players as they one by one popped up to join us for, say, a performance or an end of term performance or something like that.
Wow, they were actually performing in Cambridge.
Yes, we had I think every year we used to perform in the music hall. The university had a hall that sort of seated many people, and we performed on stage. And I'm just trying to remember. At some point we had, maybe in the second year, Pax Trianto, who was from SDSE, or I think it was called ASCII in those days, but I might be wrong. He in Surakarta, he came and taught us, and that was a huge revelation, because he was very demanding, and I think we did a wayang then, and I remember I shared the gong with this other chap called Lawrence, and we both got very, very stressed by it, indeed, because it was just very, very hard. We were beginners at that point, and we still felt we were beginners. And so I did that for 3 years. I was in Cambridge, and then I came down to London. I left Cambridge, I got my PhD in '92, in April, May '92, and I came down to London, started working here, and I basically thought, I must start playing gamelan. That's a nice way to get to know people again. So I went to the Southbank, which was the obvious place to play. And actually, the summer before, I'd come down, and this was when I got the whole of gamelan got solidified into something that I knew that I wanted to do for the rest of my life, and saw the Island to Island Festival, so that must have been in '91 maybe, or summer '91, and I think I was here for a week, and it was at the Southbank. It was I don't know whether anyone else has spoken about it, but it was at the Southbank, a really really impressive group of performers. That's probably where I first saw Balinese Gamelan and music and dance.
Who were they?
I can't remember. It was loads of different groups. They'd got loads of different groups to perform. It was something Alec Roth developed, and they had from all round. I think it was Javanese, Balinese. That's when I also saw the Alice songs for the first time. I'm pretty sure songs, which is this wonderful piece that Adrian Lee wrote, which was a sort of a semi-performance. Which the Southbank Gamelan Players performed. It's new music. It's based upon a Lewis Carroll, Alice the Looking Glass, and it was just brilliant. But what I remember, because I think we played as well, it was the first time I'd played at the Southbank, that they had gamelan groups, or several gamelan groups from across the country were playing. So
you were doing Southbank group?
No, no. At that time, I had nothing to do with Southbank Group. At that time, so that was summer '91. I'm guessing 1991. So we, as Cambridge Gamelan Group, played in the foyer just above the ballroom, where groups have been playing for many years as part of this festival. I'm pretty sure that's what happened, though I've kind of got a rubbish memory when it comes to that. But I do also remember, I said the first time I saw Javanese, there was that rather marvellous there was a marvellous sort of dance drama piece that ended with this everyone holding candles and doing a procession, and the sort of the lights fading out, and I've got a recording of it somewhere. It's absolutely gorgeous. I can't remember. Yeah. I think they were from Solo actually.
Were there any musicians came from?
Yes, loads of musicians, loads of dancers, loads of. In fact, I've got the program. I'll have. In fact, if you're interested in the history of British Gamelan, I've probably got a whole set of programs of everything I've been to. Would that be helpful? Would that be useful?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. And I've got kinds of random things. So I've got a complete set of Pelog. Have you got that? And Sele notes. I don't know. Do you have that?
I only have a few.
Okay.
I think I've got Sele notes, but I'm not sure if I have Pelog.
Okay, and then I've also got. I'm trying to think what else I might have. I'll have all kinds of random sheets that will say, sort of like all the things that the groups organise themselves with and things like that, which you might find that useful as just going through it. But anyway, so I'd been down to London, I'd seen the Southbank, I'd got to know a few people over that week. So the obvious thing for me was to join them, and I think I joined Jenny's class actually, which was something on a Thursday night. It was Javanese at Southbank. So I joined Jenny's class, and in those days the gamelan was in a room on the left-hand side of the building, about halfway up the stairs. It's a room that's disappeared now, and it's right at the front of the building that overlooked the river. So on the one hand, it was a completely stunning view. You got this amazing view across London, but it was a very awkward room because it was very, very hot. The gamelan was very crowded in there. It was a big goldfish bowl because people walking up and down the stairs could peer in. But on the other hand, it gave the gamelan a huge prominence, for anyone walking up the stairs could look at it. It made it, I think the room you're in completely affects the whole feeling of the class and the whole way that people behave with each other. And I think everyone was always conscious they were on show in that room. And also, that's right, there was a gap. There was like a sort of a balcony thing that meant that people in the room below could hear what you were talking and playing. So every now and again we'd have someone really noisy in the room below us, and we could hear what they were saying and doing as well, which was quite sometimes quite disturbing. And then whenever we took a break, we had to sit halfway up the stairs. Everyone would come out of the room and then sort of sprawl on the staircase halfway up, which must have been quite bizarre for people who were attending concerts. They did remove that room in the end, actually. I think they must have removed it around 2000 or something like that. But anyway, so I started playing gamelan in April, May, and then I stayed on because the way it happened was that Jenny would have a class, and then there was a second class, which was kind of an informal play for anyone who was part of the Southbank programme, and it was just a chance to play through sessions. So I did that. Then during the summer, there was, that summer 1992, there was a Clerkenwell Festival. So they have this festival every year in Clerkenwell, near City University, and the Southbank Players did a wayang in the church. But I went to the festival whenever there was any gamelan, and I remember seeing Andy Channing and his Balinese, his Gamelan Angklung group play, and that was the first time I'd ever seen Gamelan Angklung. But at that stage, I was trying to play in as much gamelan because I loved it so much, and so I joined that group. I also joined, around that time, I also started coming to City, had Simon Cook's Iron Gamelan, and there were sessions for anyone who wanted to. I think on Wednesday nights you could just come along and play, and anyone who ever wanted to play gamelan could just turn up. And so I used to do that. And at one point I was playing 5 nights a week.